CyclingCarKeys.com. I'm currently sitting in a 2015 Chevrolet Equinox. It is a flip bay turnkey and it's all keys lost. So I am going to show you the process I use using the ignition removal tools to pull the cylinder and make a new key for this car. So it's going to be a little hard for me to try to do it one-handed, but basically you want to drop the lever, pull the steering wheel down and out as far as you can, and these plastics should snap apart by hand. You know, just be a little careful with them. You only got to take the top part off. So the top might, on some cars it has like this little leather apron, which this one was already clipped off, so I'm not too worried about it. And just make sure the top piece clips, and you have to angle it out past this stick, so it can be a little tricky getting it up and getting it out. And this is our ignition, and we want to get our ignition removal tool in this little hole here, and it should release the ignition. So I'm pretty sure this vehicle takes the yellow curved tip. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do this one-handed, but so we're gonna drop down so that we got our curve underneath the ignition, and we're gonna feel for, there's a little retainer, it should have a little spring in it, and you might have to push the front of the ignition with your finger so that it could come out. But you see it start to twist a little bit. That's me doing the retainer. So just give me 1 second. I'm gonna need my 2 hands so I can get this out. And I actually did that one-handed. What I did was I got the hook and I pulled the retainer up, and then I just twisted it a little bit towards me, and as you can see, the ignition start to slide out, and you can just pull it out, and you can see here somebody sharpied over the code, so that means somebody's definitely been in here and made a key for this before. I am going to go ahead and go to my van and get this code, plug it in, and cut the key. Now in a situation like this where I can't, if I can't read the code, usually what I do is I take a picture with it, clear picture, and I blow it up to see what it is. Again, sometimes it helps writing over it with a black Sharpie or a crayon or something, so that you can rub ink into the dimples. But if all that doesn't work, I can remove the sleeve, remove each of the wafers, and it'll have a number stamped on it. I could make the key that way. If worse comes to worse, I could pull the key code by VIN with my NASDAQ credentials and cut them another key. Alright, so the code was kind of hard to see, so what I did is I just rolled back and I pulled out the first 2 wafers so that we could see the numbers on them. That's a 1 and that's a 2. So from what I looked at, the codes, you know, they're kind of hard to read, so there's 2 things I might think they might be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug them into my key machine and see what they come back as a bit in. And if one of them starts off with a 1, 2, I'm going to go ahead and try that key. In my key machine, I am going to go to all keys lost and go to Chevrolet and input what I believe is my code, Z488. Now the last digit could have been a 6, it could have been a 5, it possibly could have been a 3. I think it's a 5, so I'm going to put Z4485 and go ahead and query it. I am going to have to turn on my key machine. Alright, boom. And so, alright, so here we can see the one with the 5 at the end did not give me a bit in with 1, 2. So I am actually going to go back home, do all keys lost again. I could have just backed out Chevrolet. Alright, Z4886. Let's see what that says. Okay, and that begins with a 1, 3. I am just going to double check and make sure my wafers weren't 1, 3, and no, it looks like it's definitely a 1, 2. So let me go back and try this as a 3. Query. Okay, and again a 1, 3. So I got three different options that didn't seem right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull all the wafers out of this lock so we can see exactly what the cuts were and go ahead and make the key. All right, so here's the ignition. I pulled all the wafers, and as we can see, our cuts are 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 4, 2. So I'm gonna go back to the key machine, plug that in, and see what it shows us for a code. So I'm still in the same key that I tried to plug in the code for us. I'm just gonna go ahead and modify this as what we got. So I got 1, oops, not what I want to hit. So 1, the next one is a 2, and then, oh man, looking at these with my eyes is hard. So we got 3, 3, 3, 2, 4, 2, and then we go down the bottom, hit find bitten, and we have to connect to the machine. All right, find bitten, and it tells us our key code was Z4805. So I thought it was Z4885, but that second 8 was actually a 0. So if you go back and you look at what was imprinted, you see how, zeros and 8s could look similar, while 3, 5, 6s and 8s could look similar. They're not really all that clear on the dimples. So, sometimes it just doesn't decode, and you end up having to pull the wafers like I just did. So let me plug this in. I could go ahead and select the key code and move on to cut key, and I'll set the key up in the machine and begin cutting. All right, so I have a new 5-button flip blade key set up in the machine, and the machine will go ahead and do all of its checks to check the position, and then it will go ahead and engrave what we have, our cuts by code, and then I'll flip it over and do the same thing. And while the second side is cutting, I'll go ahead and reassemble the ignition, get it plugged in, and get the scanner hooked up so that we could go ahead and do our 12-minute wait and do the key programming process. So I went ahead and popped that ignition back in, and this is our completed cut key. I apologize, the alarm is going to go off, but we'll go ahead and the key turns into position. So from the programmer, we are going to go ahead and auto detect the VIN number. Closed both doors, I rolled down the window, and I'm going to go ahead and select Chevrolet. Okay. And it's auto VINing, so it's going to pull the year, make, model of the vehicle. And alright, so we got 2015 Chevrolet Equinox. That's what we're working on. So we're going to go ahead, go ahead and hit yes. Alright, I'm going to turn on the hazard so it keeps the body control module open, and blade key is the only option. Now I don't know the difference between the two different chassis codes. I'm just going to select that first one. Alright, so we're going to go into hot function and then add a key. Now, even though this is an all keys lost situation, if we select all keys lost, it's going to erase all keys out and make us put in a minimum of 2 keys. We are only making 1 key, so we're going to go ahead and just do add a key. And we're going to start. And it asks, do we want to start pin reading? I'm going to go ahead and hit yes so it can read the pin number. And this will take a few seconds. so we see it shut the alarm on and shut it off, so we know it's actually doing something in the background. And we got our PIN number. So our PIN number is saved in the computer. All right, so it tells us to switch the ignition off. Okay, switch the ignition on. Okay. All right, do we want to start clearing the DTCs? I always do yes, because when we go to test the remote start feature, it is not going to work if there's a check engine light on. So at this point, when we do the 12-minute wait, all the doors have to be shut. That's why I wrote down the windows. I usually just set the program outside of the car like this. Hit OK. Now it's clearing out all those check engine lights, and it says, do you want to start the key learning process? We're going to go ahead and hit OK. And it says close all doors and turn the ignition on. I go ahead and hit OK. It automatically pulled up the PIN code we read. We're going to enter it. And we're going to go ahead and wait 12 minutes. So I'll cut the video out, and then I'll cut back in once it's done. The 12-minute wait, it'll give me a chance to get back in the car, and then we'll finish the programming. All right, so we're about 83%. Usually when I get to about 84, 85%, it'll start doing the key program process, and there we go. So it's gonna tell you to go ahead and open and close the door and make sure all the appliances are off. All right, and once we do that, I will go ahead and get inside the vehicle. So right now it's telling me to take the key out. So I took the key out and hit OK. All right, it says open and close all doors, make sure all electronic appliances are off. So I'm gonna take that opportunity for me to get back in the vehicle and finish programming. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK. All right, insert the key in the switch and turn the ignition on. So right here is our mobilizer light. When we finish the programming, we turn the key on. This light should come on for about 4 seconds and then go out. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit OK. All right, it says the current key matching is complete. Do you want to match the next key? We're going to go ahead and hit no. So it tells us to turn off the ignition and remove the key. Hit OK. And then open and close the driver's door. Make sure all appliances are off. OK. All right, so it's going to configure the system. And this takes about 45 seconds to go through. Now remember, these keys are remote keys. There's a transponder function that allows the vehicle to start, and then you have the keyless entry for the remote. There are two separate functions, but this is an integrated key. So the transponder and the remote both program together. All right, so we're about 77%. We should be done here shortly. And I already reassembled everything, so once this car starts up, we are done. All right, so it tells me to switch the ignition on. So I put my key back in, turn it to the on position, hit OK. All right, it tells me to switch the ignition off. I do that. All right, turn it back on. OK. All right, so number of match keys 2. Okay. And key learning was succeeded. So I'm going to shut this off. We can test. We have remote functions. I could go ahead and shut off the hazards. The remote works. And then we put the key in, turn it to the on position, and just watch our mobilizer light. It comes on and it goes out. That's how we know the car read the key. And start it up. Just make sure it runs for about 10 seconds. And we are good to go. That's a completed job. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this post on your wall. Ask your friends to follow us. You know, that's how we're going to be able to make more content for you guys, is, you know, followers. That's how we get paid. So definitely follow and invite your friends to follow. And I appreciate every one of y'all. And there's more videos, more complex stuff coming. As I get better with recording and editing, you know, I can do more detailed videos for you guys. But I need the followers. So thanks for watching. LakelandCarKeys.com.